Hey everybody, we're here today with Zeno from Resend to talk about their new integration with Vercel and do a quick demo of React email. Zeno, you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about Resend?
Hey Lee, super happy to be here. We're super excited about this new Vercel integration. We know there's a lot of people already using Next with Resend and React email all together, and this is a step to make it even easier to get started. So yeah, super excited to unveil this new integration to you all.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right into it. You want to pull up a demo? We can walk through deploying a new template with the Next app and Resend and see how the integration works.
For sure. Yeah, let's do it. So now there's a new template here that you can find. And once you go to it, you can see the template live, or you can deploy. We're going to go through that first. So here on the first step, you can choose like the GitHub repo that we're going to create. So in this case, I'm just going to put Vercel Resend Integration. And this is going to create a private GitHub repo. Let's make it public. And this is the normal flow you're used to as you're adding a template from Vercel. Now there's one super cool thing here is that this is already integrated with the new Resend integration. So as we're going through these steps, you can already configure the Vercel integration directly with it. Now, just one thing I'm going to do before we get started is I'm going to switch over to this other account that I have. And
I always have like 27 testing accounts for Vercel.
that's so true. Same here, man. So
I've deployed so many projects now that I have to make the repo names like, please delete this later, this was a test, or I'll forget what I was doing.
No, that I completely understand that pain. So this will show now the Vercel Resend integration. So I can select the project. So this is the project I'm using, and I can add an API key. So this is going to help us get started with that new API key. And that will create an API key that it's only isolated to that one particular domain. So I'm just going to use this random domain here, bkn.sh. And once we create that API key, now we're going to save that environment variable.
Nice.
Cool. So now we have our API key integrated with our Vercel project. Now we're deploying that project. And that's so cool, right? Like in the middle of the flow of deploying, I can already make that integration. So when we finalize the deployment, this is already integrated with my project. So that's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
And I think it's probably going to, yeah.
I liked the design of the flow as well. Like the integration design in Resend was really nice. I like the green accent.
Nice. And we can see that this API key is now created here too. You see like 1 minute ago. So this is already here. You can see all my tests from the last 24 hours. And we'll see that this API key was never used. Was created a minute ago, 0 times it was used. But now once this is deployed, we can start seeing this. Oh, and we can probably go to GitHub as well and see that new repo that was created. And it's here. We can see that it was created 4 minutes ago now, and yeah, we can start playing around with it in a second. And see, this was deployed, and now I can start playing around with this thing. So let's see how that looks.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So this is basically what it does. It simulates the experience like if you had an app and you were trying to invite someone to that app. So here we have like already this delivered at resend.dev thing here. And this is just an example of like, instead of you going through the entire flow of sending an actual email, we can just test that this flow works. And we can do that by just sending email, and it looks like the email was sent. So in reality, this is not going to send the email, but we can see that the API key was just used one time. And we can go to this emails page, and we can see this email right here. Join team on Vercel. And you can see this is a fake email, as if we were inviting someone to a Vercel team. And the beauty of this, the reason why I love this like simulator email here is that we can see the actual email. We can see like the HTML version of it and other stuff. But you can have an idea of like how would the user perceive that email without really sending for real. And if we wanted to send it for real, we can do that as well. So let's send to my Gmail. And we can now go to my inbox and see if it really worked. There you go. Here's the email. So it works.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That was pretty easy.
Yeah, right. I really like that that idea of just like being able to get started. Like now I have a project that already has my email hooked up, and maybe we can extend that project even more. Do you want to look at the code to see how that works?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm curious where the template came from, and maybe we can try to modify that template and make some changes there.
So let's go ahead and clone that repo. Okay, so we're cloning that repo, and now we can just pull the environment variables, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Vercel.
if you first run Vercel link, it will link your project.
Nice.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, and now you can do Vercel env pull and then the name of the file you want. So .env or .env.local.
Nice. .env is perfect. And then we can just run this. Actually, I'm gonna open on VS Code, and I'll open that a little bit in a bit here. But I can already run this. Oh, I forgot to install. So I have PNPM here, but Yarn or NPM would work.
I'm biased. I like PNPM as well.
Yeah, man, it's hard to keep it up. It's changing all the time, right? So now we have this server running, and we can go to our VS Code to take a look. So this is what we have here. We have this emails folder, and we have the app. So let's look at we're using the app router here, and we're using server functions or server actions, right? Or form actions. I don't know the right term here. But the idea here is that we can have this thing run on the server, or in this case, yeah, like the actual component is running on the client, and then we can just call it and submit that form. And the code here to see like if where this thing is like here on actions, and this is the server part. Mm-hmm.
The way I like to think about it is that the server action is basically making a portal from the client, your client component where you had your form and your logic to handle success states or error states and do the toast. It's making this portal from client to server, where on the server you have your server action that has your secret API key and your functions all kind of co-located in this server actions file.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing that is super cool about this is that uh, in this case, this is separated in two different files, but I could have like everything under the same file, right? Which is pretty wild, like all my client and all my server code running at the same place. And here we can see the actual form submission, right? So when you submit the form, it comes here. We get the email field from the form, and then we use the Resend SDK to trigger that email. So here we can see that the from address, we're using this for resend.dev domain, but it can be the actual domain that you integrated with, and then you can change the subject. And this is one part that I think it's really cool that we can also show folks, like when you're sending an email, you can use like just a plain HTML here, and this would work. Or you can pass like a whole React object, and that's exactly what we're doing here.
Oh, nice.
When we go to this like Vercel invite user email, this is actually an email that was completely built with React email, and we can see like the props here. We're using TypeScript to make sure the types are correct, and all of these things are built in a way that it just looks like my regular code base. Like I'm even using Tailwind, and I can make all the styling changes with Tailwind. And for folks who have done email in the past, I'm sure they remember how painful it could be with all the inline styles and all the craziness to make sure the email looks the same on Outlook and Gmail and all that.
So basically what you're getting from React Email is a set of reusable components that allow you to kind of easily build emails with some templates to get started, but then also it's taking care of ensuring cross email client compatibility in terms of how it looks and how it feels. And then you get to write things like Tailwind and just looks like your normal React code, right?
Yes. And like when you think about like just adding a button, right? In that email, we had a button saying like, oh, accept the invitation. Making sure that button renders the same on all these email clients can be a big challenge. And we solved that for you already. So you can think of this as your ShadCN UI, but for email, like these predefined components. And the problems that ShadCN UI and Radix solve are more related to accessibility, whereas here we're focusing on like solving those cross-compatibility problems. So you have like rows, columns, like those things are really hard, and you still have to use tables underneath your code to make sure it works, but we abstract all of that for you.
Nice.
So maybe one thing we can do is just like change one of the variables just to see how that works. So in this object, I could either do, so if this was like a TS X, I could like just call the component like this and pass like the variables. Or if I'm using .ts, I can just call it as a function, as we're doing here. So one of the variables we have here is like team name. So we can change team name to whatever. And now we can go back to that application. And sorry, I'm just switching screens all the time here, but let's go to the browser again. And now we're gonna run this locally on localhost 3000. And if we change this, I'm still gonna use this so it doesn't need to send a real email as we're testing. So now that I triggered this, I can go back to Resend, and when I see this, is that now it's showing join whatever on Vercel.
Nice.
So I feel like that's super cool, right? The power of like just iterating on that email. And one other thing we can show is if you go back to your terminal, and we can see now the other side of this app, and we just run So we're going to go to the emails folder, and we're going to run, actually, I can run from here. So pnpm run emails. Email. Yeah, email. We're now going to run React email locally. So I'm just going to show you like the experience of importing emails to your code base like we just did with Next. But as you're developing and improving that email, how would that look like in a real world scenario? So if we go to the browser again, now that we are running this other server, which by the way, under the hood, we do use Next as well. Now you're going to see this folder. So this is the development environment of React email. As you add more email templates, we have like folks using tons of email templates. They will all show up here. You can toggle the sidebar or not. You can test like how would this email look on mobile? How would this look on desktop? And you can see the source code that you just wrote in HTML, or if you want to convert that to HTML, you can also see the end result and even convert from React to template. That's another to plain text. Sorry, that's another cool thing that this does. And this is really important for deliverability. So when folks are sending emails, you ideally want to have both the HTML and the plain text version for clients that can't interpret HTML. So you can have that. And this is another nice thing. If you want to play around with that template as you're developing, you can. So this is just like a development environment. So you can either use this or you can use your Next.js and you can import and test all the changes. It's really up to you. It's just another server that you can play around with it. Have you ever tried that, Lee?
The React email server?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've tried it once. It's only been for a single template, so I haven't had multiple templates in there, but I do like the ability to kind of test and validate locally with visual changes and have the hot module reloading, like to see the changes update instantly is pretty nice.
Yeah, and just one last thing that I wanted to show that is also pretty cool. Yesterday, as we were like, we are in the middle of this launch week right now, and we just launched the ability for you to schedule an email. Yeah, so this is the announcement from yesterday, and this is just like a way that we can do to schedule emails, like just pass any date and then use this scheduled attribute. So I'm just gonna copy this line here to get the timestamp for 1 minute from now, whatever now is, and we're gonna add that to our app and see how that works. So now that we are here on the Resend SDK, I can just add this scheduled attribute, and we can see that this accepts a date in ISO 8601. But let me just define this variable right here. So just what we're doing here is just creating a new date object, and we're just adding 1 minute to the now timestamp and then converting to ISO string. So I'm gonna add this, or you can also just use date fs, I guess, and then you can create a date object and then add a new minute or a new day if you want it. So we're doing this, and now we can just go back to our app and we can see if that's working or not. So let's go to our development server here, and I'm gonna send this email. Let's see if it works. And I can see that this is scheduled, and I can see that it's scheduled for 1 minute from now. So pretty neat, like just with one line of code, you can go from sending now or sending later, whatever you prefer.
What use case do you typically see people scheduling emails for?
Yeah, like there's so many interesting things. You have like the obvious flows of like onboarding, for example, when people sign up, they want to send a welcome email. This is what we are doing. If you sign up for Resend right now, you get an email from me a minute later, and that's super cool. You know, like you can get this more personal touch than you would have. And we really recommend folks to make the emails as personal as possible. Then there are use cases for like weekly digests. Maybe you're building like, let's say you work at Vercel and you want to build a usage template that shows like, here's how many compute your project used. Here's what happened, like the peaks in traffic, so you can schedule an email like that. Instead of like using cron jobs to run, you could do that. And we have like some very interesting ideas that people posted yesterday. So Stephen Tay posted one on his Twitter that was really nice, of like making that welcome email more random, so it's not doesn't trigger like exactly when a new sign up happened, but he used like math.random to send an email like at a random time within like a 2-hour window. And Pontus from Midday AI built an email to ask for like the cancellation reason after the user canceled the plan. So that's pretty cool too, to learn more about like, you know, someone churned and now you're trying to understand what happened. So, you know, I feel like those are very interesting use cases.
And then you also recently launched audiences and the ability, if you want to like set up a newsletter or similar use cases, you could probably then schedule your newsletter send to your audience as well.
Yes.
Nice.
So this is really cool because for the first year of Resend, it was all about just helping you with an email API so you can send transactional emails. And now we're expanding more to that marketing use case. If you have a newsletter and you want to do a one-to-many versus a one-to-one type of email, this feature called broadcast and audiences, they can help you do that. And it helps with all the unsubscribe flow too, which can be a pain to set up.
Nice. Yeah, I saw y'all announce that a previous launch week ago. I haven't set it up yet on my site, but I want to do that.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, this was about it. Like, I hope this was helpful. I'm really looking forward to seeing how people will use this new integration and this new template. And yeah, it's all open source, so feel free to send a PR if you have ideas on how to improve that template.
Where can developers find out more if they want to try out this template, if they want to learn more about Resend, learn more about you?
Yeah, you can definitely go to vercel.com and go to the templates or integrations and search for Resend. You'll find something there. Resend.com is also super great. You'll have a surprise when you go to the website for the first time. And I'm Zeno Rocha on X, GitHub, everywhere. So yeah, I'm super excited to connect with all of the Next.js and Vercel and Resend users.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Zeno. This was really fun. Cool to see the template and the integration come to life. And I mean, React Email is, of course, very exciting and a great contribution to the ecosystem. So thank you for continued efforts there and for walking us through this demo. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. See you, everybody.
Cool. See ya.